Thank you very much for inviting me as a speaker. My presentation is about scientific video-based behavioral research. So the first question is why this is part of a human resource management conference. The reason is very simple, because it's about to learn, to study, and to understand any kind of human behavior. And this is very important for any kind of human resource management. But before I will come to the content of my presentation, I want to start with a short overview about me, because I'm not a scientific researcher, so I'm working for a company, so there is definitely a conflict of interest, because I'm presenting a company, a German-based company called Mangold International, and I'm pretty sure there are also some other companies available on the market who also provide similar solutions. So I just wanted to point out that there is definitely a conflict of interest when I present something here. So my role at Mangold is to be a head of sales department, and what we do is we offer solutions, mainly software and hardware, for any kind of data collection and analysis, mainly for human behavior analysis. So this can be used in any kind of research areas where you need to study the behavior, for example, of humans. It can be psychology, usability, education, training, assessment centers, market research, everywhere where you want to analyze any kind of behavior. So the first thing is, when you want to do some behavioral observation, so you want to create some results. And in our point of view, there are multiple ways to do this, especially for behavioral observation. The first thing, very simple, you can ask questions. So you can hand out forms, which is a perfect way to do if you have a lot of people you want to compare, but it's really not possible to find out individual behaviors, because all the results are already predefined in a certain way because of your own questions. So another way of analyzing any kind of behavior could be, you could measure. This means you could integrate some measurement devices to measure respiration, skin conductance, heart rate. So you can look inside a body or inside to the brain to really find out what is inside of the human person you are analyzing. But this can be complicated, and I often see this more as an add-on to a standard behavioral observation. And the part where we are located and where we are offering solutions is the observation part. And this can be used in any kind of studies. For example, if you want to analyze a team who is working together and you want to analyze how they perform, what do they good, what are the mistakes they made, then you can simply observe them. And when we think about observation, this can be done very easily. You just sit down and make a live preview and just recognize what they do. But the problem of this live observation is that it has a lot of limitations. So you have no chance to pause the real behavior, to rewind the behavior, especially if you work with large groups or a complete team and you want to analyze everything. You will definitely miss a lot of important things, because there's only one chance to recognize everything. And the other thing is, if you do a live session and you want to analyze behavior of a live session, there is absolutely no way to prove your results or your statistics, because there was just one live session and that's it. So that's why the recommendation is you need to video record everything. Video recording in the digital age is really simple. You can use just a camcorder or a smartphone, or you can use a professional setup. So it depends on what you need to do. And what Mangold can do is we are, let's say, expert in the forms of video analysis and video coding. So you can have a room layout with multiple rooms. You can have remote controllable rooms. You can have different microphones. You can integrate eye tracking, group session labs, everything that is interesting for you. And you can have multiple cameras from different angles to record the behavior from a lot of angles to really recognize everything. And this can be done by setting up stationary labs, usually at universities when you have multiple rooms. control room and observation room, and then sometimes you have something like a mirror windows, so you can follow the behavior in this participant room, and you record everything with computers, screen recordings, with eye trackers, with different cameras, and record everything you need. So that's can be done with a stationary lab. In some cases, or if you do not have rooms for this, you might need to be more portable and mobile. If you want to go on site to schools, to companies to analyze the behavior on site, then you can also have portable labs. So all the equipment is in a suitcase, for example. You go on site, record the behavior of your participants with different cameras from different angles. In comparison with a stationary lab, such a portable lab equipment is a little bit limited because of the space you have and all the regarding the weight of the equipment, because you need to take it with you. But at the end, it's a similar setup, only portable. The real advantage of having a video-based setup is that you can split the reality from the analysis. Because first you have the real session, and then back at the office, back at the university, you can take care about all the video recordings, and then you can have time for the analysis, which makes it a lot easier for you to get some results. Because the goal of doing video-based behavioral research is not just the data collection part. What you want to do is you want to turn this data collection, all your video footage, into the results. The video part is just needed to have some data and to have some video footage, but the results part is pretty much more important. And the issue or the problem is that you do not want to just note interesting things. What you want to do is you want to recognize behavioral observation analysis. So everything's on the flow. You have a timeline, and there are so many things happening during this recording time that it's really complicated to make analysis. So paper and pencil analysis doesn't work because it's really too complicated. It maybe works for just a few simple things, but not for doing really video-based behavioral research. And in our point of view, we see two ways of transferring the video footage into some results, especially if you think about the scientific aspect. The first thing is, so we call it review and debriefing. So this is also very often used in therapy sessions. So what you can see here is our solution. It's called VideoSync Pro. It's a standard recording solution. So in this case, we have a setup with 4 video cameras. We have a group of people sitting on a table. They are in a discussion, and we want to find out what they do, how they solve problems when they interact with each other, what is happening there. So this is the live session now. We have the 4 previews of the session. We click on the recording button, and then the recording of all videos will be made in sync, including a lip sync audio for later analysis. And what you can see on the right side is this small panel with subjects and markers, and this is our marker channel for direct review and debriefing things. So it's a very intuitive setup because we just use simple emotives or simple pictures, and then a person can watch the live session and just click on the marker if something is happening that is interesting for them. So when they see, oh, this was good, we click on the smiley with the smiling one, or something was bad, there was a big decision, something went into a wrong decision in the wrong way. You can just click on this markers on the right side, and we record the time of the behavior, and we record the marker itself and also the observer. Because when you analyze a session like this, you could have multiple observers, and this means they could have, for example, smartphones or tablets, and everyone is seeing the live session, and when they see something, they click on this marker channels, and then they can use it especially for feedback purposes, for trainings and also for teaching things. So that's the review and debriefing setup. If you just simply want to mark very easy markers during the live session or directly after the live session. And by using these markers, you could say, oh, now let's create a highlight video with all the markers, with all the good things, all the bad things, and then share it with the participants, with your colleagues, and give direct feedback, which is really important to do, especially also in therapy things. The more scientific way would be you want to go deeper in this analysis. And this cannot be done live. You need to do this later on when you're back in the office or back at the university and you want to analyze these 4 video recordings. Then you could use another solution, and this solution is called Interact, which is a video coding and analysis tool. So same situation, we want to observe something. We are back in the office, we have our 4 video streams, or maybe 2 or maybe 10, it depends on your setup. And then we define a coding system, and we can use the Interact software to analyze everything. And it doesn't matter how you call this part. Sometimes it's called video coding, sometimes it's video evaluation, tagging, setting markers, event logging, content analysis. Interact is just a tool that helps you to code everything in a structured way. So you can define your own coding system if you're interested in activities, in emotion, in gestures, mimics, whatever you're interested in. You could integrate measurements like physiology recordings with skin conductance, heart rate, and EEG recordings, and whatever you have, and then use the software to code everything in a structured way. But the coding part is not the important part, because that's the boring part of doing video coding and video analysis. The more interesting part is then how to get some results and statistics. And so that's the benefit of using a software like Interact One, because in this software you already have a lot of functions and functionalities to create statistics, to create reports. So what you can do is you can merge your codes and events, you can split the information into new codes, you can find co-occurrences or contingencies in your behavioral research data, you can find sequences of behaviors. Every time person 1 is doing something, person 2 is reacting with a special behavior within a few seconds, and all these things. You can compare data based on socio-demographic information, or you can simply visualize all these behaviors and interactions. Naturally, because we are talking about video data, you can also integrate iterator reliability based on Cohen's kappa or intra-class correlation. All these statistics are already included in the software. So that's a very professional way how to turn your video footage into real scientific results. And again, the software is called Interact and is sometimes used for qualitative and sometimes for quantitative analysis of any kind of multimedia data. So this means this can be a video, this can also be a screen recording video. You can have multiple videos from different angles. You can compare different sessions from different participants. And you can also integrate any kind of external measurements from physiology devices or from simulators or from everywhere you have. And this is mainly done in psychology research, but it can be done in all kind of research areas where you want to analyze any kind of behavior. So it's not limited to any specific area. So to summarize this a little bit, recording of video is mandatory because that's the only chance to really recognize everything and to prove your results and to review it again and again. Otherwise, it's just a live observation, which is really very, very limited. In the current situation with everyone has computers, smartphones, video can be really simple. Also, if you have multiple videos, synchronization of videos is possible. When I started this business around about 20 years ago, it was really complicated to get 2 cameras into the computer, especially to synchronize everything. But now with new technology, it is really just a click on your computer and everything will be recorded in sync. Nevertheless, recording cannot be the final goal. It's just something you need to do to create some data. But then to turn this data into some results and statistics, you can do review and debriefing for very quick results, especially for feedback things and for training situations. For assessment centers, for example, this can also be a perfect solution. But if you want to go into everything more in detail, then you need to really video code and analyze everything by using professional tools like the software I showed you before. This was a quick overview about video-based behavioral research. I think we have 15 minutes now. So thank you very much for taking your time to watch my presentation. And if you have any questions, just let me know.
Dear Mr. Grazl, thank you for your presentation, and our attendees could ask you some questions if they have. Okay.
Hello, my name is Natasha Kobal. I would like to ask if this is mostly for scientific purposes or also other companies use that?
I would say, when I take a look at our company base or our customer base, then I would say 80% of our users are scientific researchers. When I take a look at the companies, then we only talk about the big ones. For example, car manufacturers like BMW or Mercedes, Volkswagen or Airbus, NASA, all the big ones are using it. Otherwise, if you talk about small companies, they normally do not have enough human resources to video and analyze everything in detail. The only thing what they do is they sometimes use this part. So because that's just video presentation, review and debriefing, this is something that companies can do. The part with the Interact software, this is definitely more the scientific way of doing video analysis.
Can I have a follow-up question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, for the companies then, is this mostly about behavior of employees or is mostly about customer behavior? Thank you.
Both ways. Some use it for the employees to train them, especially if you think about companies who have direct customer contact in a bank, for example. They train their employees what is the best behavior to get to some success, to some best results. That's the one part. The other part is if they want to observe customers, it's first of all, it's a question of security issues and are you allowed to video record the customers? But if you do studies like this, you could use it for market research. In supermarkets, you can analyze what is the best place to place your best products or the cheapest ones and something like this. So you can also analyze it or use it for market research.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Има ли други въпроси? Okay.
Hello, Mr. Grazl. I'm Kauchev, and I have a question regarding if it's a technology with which we can study and observe the employees. If you are recording them, you have to let them know, and I guess many of them will decline. And
so it's definitely not a solution for videotape your employees without their knowledge. It's just for really making tests, and you need to point out that now they're recorded. You normally do that. Do not do this in a real office. You have a special lab for this, also in the companies where everyone knows when I'm in this lab, I'm video recorded, and this is not the typical office where I work. It's just a lab session, a lab situation.
Thank you for the answer. But my follow-up question is, if they know that you are recording them, the people behave differently when they know they are recorded, and do you take this in mind?
It can be. It's not the real situation. It's a lab situation. So sometimes they know, they are observed, so maybe the behavior change a little bit. At the end, this is something you cannot change. It is how it is. Sometimes they forget that they are video recorded after a few minutes, but if they are really focused on the cameras in the lab, then it will not work.
Okay, thank you for the answers.
You're welcome.
So thank you for your presentation, Mr. Grazl. It was a pleasure to have you online in our conference.
Thank you. It was also a pleasure to be one of the speakers, and yeah, I wish everyone a nice conference.